having access to someone who thought so much bigger than me when we were so small, it allowed us to the cycles or the revolutions required to 2x our business. Like we did 5 2x's in 1 year, right? So if you're starting out at 18K, that's a small number, but 2x at once, right? 36, 2x it again. 72, 2x it again. About 150, 2x it again. Do the math, right? Once those compounding opportunities to grow your identity, to grow your mindset, to grow your work ethic, to grow your associations, right? The people we're sitting with and talking to are $250,000, $500,000, $1 million individuals.
Welcome to the Raquel Show. This show is for entrepreneurs who want to play bigger in business and in life. And as many of you all know, I love bringing people on the show that are playing bigger. And today I have a very special guest that I've known since high school. He might be my very first childhood friend on the show. And I always love when you grow up with people and you see them doing amazing things, and he's built a business, sold a company, and I got to just connect with him right before this. So I'm excited for you all to meet Damian Mackey. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, Raquel? I appreciate you for having me on.
I love having you, and let's dive right into it. So tell the audience who you are, what you do today. Obviously, I gave a little bit of brief that you've built businesses and you've sold a company. So I want to know what inspired you to, first of all, be an entrepreneur.
Wow. Well, life happens and you start to accelerate your income, and you quickly realize W-2 in the state of California and a 6-figure salary, they're not going to let you keep a lot. Your gross and your net, let's just say, your net makes your gross look pretty gross. Oh my God, I'm giving Uncle Sam 30, 40%, right? And it sped up my need to jump into entrepreneurship. I'm a Union City kid. I met Raquel, I think in middle school, I think is when we met, or high school, one of the two, I don't remember. But I was a kid who always took care of my grades and was really into my academics. Got a football scholarship to play college football at the University of Oklahoma. I won a national championship. And I walked into the education path. So I got an education at 25. I became a teacher, taught for 4 years. And then before I turned 30, I was a principal. I was a middle school principal in Hayward. I did 7 years as an administrator. And then in 2018, I retired for a couple of different reasons, but primarily because I started to realize in the educational system that school is designed to teach you to work for money. And as I started to matriculate further into adulthood, I was very curious into learning ways of how to make money work for me. And just getting off of the hamster wheel, if I got my tinfoil hat on or whatever, the conspiracy theorists around how the educational system is designed and how it's prepared and what its outlooks are. I said, I want to take control over my life, my time, my freedom, my family, my income, the ability to earn and build assets. And so entrepreneurship was a space for me to do that. And I chassied that in the insurance space. I was an insurance agent for 2 or 3 years. And then now I'm a business coach. So I help agencies build an identity, a training platform, and duplication of competent agents so that they can go out and go protect families, help lives, and close business.
First of all, I love that. And I'm going to unpack a few things. And you're absolutely right, because the people that I hung out with and seeing him grow up with him, they said that he was definitely, I didn't have you in any of my classes, but my friends for sure definitely were. And they said you were the smartest person in the class. So it's no surprise that you got a scholarship, went into the education system. And by the way, for those that are listening, I respect a ton of teachers because I believe that they do a lot of hard work and they don't always get paid the way they should get paid. I think they should be paid a lot more because they also take work home. And I know that because I have a retired father-in-law who was a teacher. I know that takes a lot of hard work. And I love the fact that you gave up or retired and took a big leap into entrepreneurship because you wanted control. Was there fear around that? What was going on? Because you had been so used to obviously getting a paycheck. And for those that are listening there, we have some that are probably on the fence of, hey, should I go full time into this? Should I invest full time? I'm doing this kind of part time. I'm making some money. What was that thought process like?
You know what? I found my way. By the way, it's a true story because I found my way into an event in Vegas, and I kind of got suckered into it. This is circa 2018.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Hart's
Mm-hmm.
doing his whatever the tour was. I don't remember what the tour was, but he was doing his tour and we missed it. My wife and I missed it. And so my buddy was like, "Hey man, I got tickets to go see Kevin Hart in Vegas and I can give them to you." I'm like, "Hell yeah, I'm in. Let's do it." He said, "But it's at an insurance conference." And so he was like, "Hey man, if I give you these tickets, I want you to go and I just want you to sit and I want you to listen. Kevin Hart's going to perform on the last night, but I want you to engage in the conversation." I'm going to just be transparent. I had tried WFG in like 2011. You know what I'm saying? By the way, the office I had gone to was like a killer office. There's like millionaires coming out of that office now, but it just wasn't for me. It was very boiler room approach, salesy kind of a thing. And I'm an educator, right? I'm a teacher. So I was apprehensive when I got the invite, but I was also excited to see Kevin Hart. So I said, "I'm in." Chelsea and I, we decided to go. When I had the opportunity that weekend to meet a gentleman by the name of Patrick David, who owned another company, when I just really listened to him and a lot of what he said resonated with me. You won't believe this, but this is in July of 2018. I'm getting ready to take a principalship in Vallejo at a school by the name of Jesse Bethel. I'm going to be the vice principal at the school. And I'm at this event. It's in July. We report like the 30th or something. And I look at my wife. I say, "Babe, I think I want to do this full time." And so I literally reneged on the position, did not sign a contract to go into a place I feel very comfortable in administration. And we started our journey as entrepreneurs in the insurance space with nothing, no team, no real system. We had access to a platform, which was really good. And we had access to mentorship. We could plug into guys who were making $1 million and big money in the industry, and they could really show us the way. And so I felt like with our ability, our hard work, our work ethic, and our talent, that we could be successful. And Raquel, we didn't look back. We made 18 grand our first 5 months in business. And all it was for us was proof of concept. It was like, okay, this thing works and these products are viable and credible and they do what they say they're supposed to do. And we know how to execute them. And then went on a journey where life-changing things started to happen. And so transitioning to business coaching and have just no looking back from there.
I love it. I mean, what a journey. And I'm sure through that, that teaches you a lot. First of all, you jump from almost taking a job as a principal, then starting your own business, making 18,000, trying to build a team. What are some of the like surprises that you, or like lessons that you learned looking back at that journey? Because it's always the hardest to start. That's where most people fail.
Our claim to fame is we used to run a workshop called How Money Works. And I was an educator, so I had access to facilities. So the one thing that really helped us is I could get NPR rooms, high school libraries, like high school classrooms, because all my buddies were administrators. And so on Thursdays, we'd buy pizza and bottled water, and we would just like market to Hayward community or Union City. "Hey, we're running workshops called How Money Works." And Raquel, for probably 6 weeks, we just practiced. And we didn't just practice because we needed practice. We practiced because we had no guests. We practiced because no one showed up, nothing, right? We're like, "Oh, crap, this is harder than I think." But it wasn't just immediate success. In fact, what I started doing is we were using the library. And I was like, "Nah, I don't want to use the library. I want to use a classroom because teachers work after the bell. And generally they walk in and out the hallways when there's no kids left on campus." And so I started pulling teachers in. "I want you to listen. Just give me feedback." I was kind of using the indirect approach. "Hey, I don't want to sell you anything. I just want feedback." And we were able to hone our skills. And we looked up 3, 4 months later, we had 20 guests coming every Thursday. And we started cooking and building some momentum. And boom, we had a very small agency, but definitely trial by error.
Yeah.
And I would say, Raquel, a lot of people get analysis by paralysis where they want to just learn and consume and consume. And it's like, no, failure way to success. Yeah. We had to go through a season of it's not working. You know what I mean? We're not getting paid, but the residual impact was us building confidence, our identity rising, getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, right? There's a term we use called positive paranoia, right? Where you harness that and say, okay, you got to have that little edge that's going to help you prepare for your next level up. And leveraging that really helped. And then what happened is we found a client and we had a $17,000 a month. And in 11 years in education, I never made 17 grand in a week before.
Yeah.
changed my perspective. You know what I mean? Okay, this thing really works. Let's get to work.
You got your first win, right? After doing so many.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever feel imposter syndrome when you were going through this? And if you did, how did you deal with it? Like
You
how
know
to make
what?
money work, right? Because you're like, I just quit my job. I'm now at this seminar with Kevin Hart, and now I'm gonna be an agency. Now I'm gonna like practice. Like think about that, right? As an entrepreneur. It's
Yeah.
always easier when you look back and you've made it.
The crazy part was no proof of concept. And a lot of people would look at me like, dude, you're a principal. My kids graduated from high school. You taught my kids 10 years ago. You're not a finance guy, even though my undergrad was in finance.
Right.
So that part was hard. Like we had to really rebrand ourselves. I had to rebrand myself, right? Like people know me. I'm a radical in education. I'm going to deep dive into data and things of that nature in terms of like subgroups and at risk and single parent and socioeconomic issues. I had the aptitude, but I didn't have the experience in the insurance space. And so, listen, we were unafraid to fail, Raquel.
Yeah.
Like we were okay with. I probably threw up on 100 potential prospects and clients. I probably said the wrong information 10 or 12 times because I didn't have a field trainer. There wasn't someone there to hold my hand out the back, right? My first 3 or 4 months, Chelsea and I were just reading websites, YouTube University, and whatever we could get our hands on. And then we found leadership that was about 3 hours away, and we really locked in with them. And that's when the success really started to come.
Yeah. And the reason why I asked, because I remember when I first started at 19 selling houses, I didn't own one. So, selling houses with clients going, do you want to buy a house? Do you want to sell your house? But yet I didn't own one for a while. So I know that there are people out there that are like, how am I going to do it? And here you just heard Damian, sometimes you got to just fail forward faster. You're going to learn through experience, and you got to just have that confidence to just go and do it, and that things will kind of work out. And you talk about mentorship. So how has like mentorship played, and you're a business coach today, how do you think mentorship has played a role in your journey, and how do you find your mentors today?
The number one game changer for us. When I was able to get aligned to Patrick David and just see who he was as an individual, what he stood for, and really the proof in what he had done in the insurance space prior to me being there, I was like, whatever I have to do, I am going to get in a space where I have access to him, consistent access to him. And two things happen, right? One was when you have a goal to shoot for and you have the work ethic to back it up, the consistency and discipline to do the habits and things that are going to get you to that goal, it makes work fun. And so my wife and I started to compete with ourselves and say, okay, how can we get better? And then two is prototyping. Because we were out here in Cali by ourselves, we had a lot of opportunity to make mistakes to success. And so Pat would say, hey, listen, in order to have access to me, you got to be top 12. If you're top 12 agency base shop in the company, you're going to have access to me on a weekly basis. You're going to have my personal number. You're going to be able to fly to my house. You're going to be able to do MMAs the way I do MMAs. And that was our goal. And Raquel, we're sitting, so Kevin Hart's 2018. In 2019, we had gone full-time into the business. We had made a little money. We had probably a ragtag team of about 10 or 12 agents at that time. We were brand new brokers. So we had hit the metrics that would put you in a term called a broker contract. And Patrick was selling us the dream. Hey guys, and we're gonna take the team, or we're gonna go to Jekyll Island, and we're gonna do an MMA where the Federal Reserve Bank started, and all these luminaries and billionaires and the Rockefellers and Vanderbilts and all these guys they've been, but I'm only taking the top 13. So again, I look at this is 1 year later, by the way. I look at my wife, I was like, we gotta be there. We're nobody. We haven't written. We're probably like the top 300 agency in the company, but we had a very clear goal. And we knew where we wanted to go, and we qualified top 10. We got in the building. They flew us out private and blindfolded us, and we did all these special things to solidify the work that we had achieved. But that mentorship, here's what it did. Having access to someone who thought so much bigger than me when we were so small, it allowed us to, the cycles or the revolutions required to 2x our business, like we did 5 2x's in 1 year. Right. So if you're starting out at 18K, that's a small number, but 2x it once, right? 36, 2x it again, 72, 2x it again, about 150, 2x it again. Do the math, right? Once those compounding opportunities to grow your identity, to grow your mindset, to grow your work ethic, to grow your associations, right? The people we're sitting with and talking to are $250,000, $500,000, $1 million individuals. It changed the way I looked at money. It's changed the way I looked at the business, and it allowed us to accelerate faster than a calendar year. And so for anybody who is an entrepreneur and wanting to have a business to scale and want passive access to passive assets and income, things of that nature, my number one recommendation is mentorship, and then number two would be training.
I love it. And you talk about identity, and I know as you grow and as you scale, who did you have to become, because you weren't quite there yet? And when you're looking at such a big goal, like I'm going to be there, be one of the top 13 people that's going to go. And one thing I know about this guy is he's super competitive. I can probably tell you guys that, right? So if he has a commitment to a goal, it's going to happen. You're one of the very few that I know that I grew up with, and I just love that. And so who did you actually have to become to embody, or to be that person, be that leader for all these people that like you were recruiting or serving at such a high level?
You had to die of your old self and reinvent yourself. So there's some things that I am married to this day. I read 4 books a month. There are staples to my reading catalog. I stay with John Maxwell books. By the way, I train on the 5 levels of leadership probably once a quarter, because it's a great way to delineate where people are and what
definitely my leadership mentor. So I love that.
Sheesh, I wish. And again, I try to personally myself conduct an MMA once or twice a year, just so that I am in mental exercise and improving. And then I also participate in someone else's MMAs as a student, because again, I want to continue to put myself in check and say, this is where I am versus where I need to be. I'm very particular with language. Raquel, I stay away from the try, maybe, probably, kind of community. I speak in definites. I think it's really important to subconsciously prepare your brain to take you where you say you're going versus giving an excuse to get distracted by other things. I don't know. And then I just think that play hard or work hard, play hard, right? We buy into the process, we buy into the philosophy of, if we're going to work our tails off, there has to be something at the end of the tunnel. And we do selfish, we do family, and we do faith, right? So what's something selfish? I put my collection of Jordan tennis shoes to anybody's. I collect customs only and the most exclusives out. And I've done it since high school. My Jordan collection was legit.
I did not know that.
It was legit. Yeah, I just think that I think we can both agree. If you live your life in clarity, and you're not in survival phase because you're living check to check, or you're commuting 2 hours to a job you hate, or right, you're always wondering what's going to be the next Friday, if you're going to be able to pay for the water heater or whatever. When you get past that space and you're able to just be clear on what you want to do, talking about identity, your initial question, you're able to leverage more of your brain. If you're just using the survival portion of your brain, it's a very small space, right? You have so much more potential in yourself if you can gain clarity and be able to really focus on what you want to do. And so for me, that was my why, Raquel. When I was a principal, I made enough to own a Beamer, $5K in the bank. We had a decent crib, but I was like, yo, I got to do this for 30 more years. I couldn't reconcile that. That was like, I don't know. And I was willing to bet on me because I felt like I deserved more. Mentorship, man, it grew my identity extremely fast.
So good. You talked about MMA. And so for those that are listening and those that are watching this on YouTube, what's MMA?
Mastermind, right? So Mastermind Alliance, whatever you want to call those. But by the way, we just did one. $30 million home in San Francisco in the marina. Beautiful, beautiful, everything, like custom everything in this house. Have my top 10 guys from across America commute into the area, and we just spent the deal. It was only a 1-day mastermind. Generally we'll do a 2 or 3 day, but this was a 1 day, and we just locked in on how to run a $250,000 business in 12 months. What do the numbers look like? What does your mindset have to be? What is the accountability necessary? And what are the systems that you have to have in place? Those are the 4 aspects or the modules that we discussed. Sweatpants, sometimes we're like suited and booted, but this one's sweatpants. We catered in food. Yeah. And but we hammered. It was all day. And we'll see. We now the opportunity is put into the to the mana to the multiverse if we're talking what is that Marvel, and
Yeah,
so we'll
yeah.
see what happens in 2024.
I love it. So speaking of like masterminds, mentorships, what do you feel every entrepreneur should know? I mean, you just broke down your system for 250, right? So what do you feel every entrepreneur should know, or somebody starting a business or somebody even scaling a business?
Yeah, I think so. There's to me the pillars or the foundation of entrepreneurship are a few things. Number one is generating. Real estate space, the insurance space, whatever space you're in, people do crypto and Airbnbs, you got to learn how to generate, right? And whether that's marketing, advertising, digital marketing, drip campaigns, Google, whatever, or guerrilla marketing, grassroots, warm market, whatever you're doing, I always fear the person who says, I have this like magic bean or I'm depending on this thing. And I'm like, look, man, in this industry or in this game, the least expected is probably going to be what's going to be the most prominent or valuable asset you have. And so always be generating. Number two is I think there's a skill set in language. Language, in my opinion, kills more entrepreneurs than anything else. What you say you can't do, or there's a term that the younger generation uses called padding off, or
Mm-hmm.
people quit. You have the start stop mentality. You get distracted by small success, or you think or play small. Right, your brand is play bigger, right? I love that because it's like where I am is not where I'm satisfied. And that's language. When you break down your just what your moniker is, it's really language. It's telling your brain, like, oh, this is where you are, play bigger. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And so language to me is critical. I think you have to develop a system. If you have a talent-based business, good luck. Even if you're the most talented person in the world, you're essentially self-employed. You're an independent contractor because it's hard to duplicate that. It's hard to scale that. So when you have a talent-based business, you're one who it's on you, man. You might be the coolest kid in the class, but if you don't have 10, 15, my business, I'm like thousands. Like our
Yeah.
scale is like thousands. Then you're going to eat what we call it, eat what you kill. If you kill something, you get to eat. If you don't kill nothing, you don't get to eat. Versus a scaled business where you have passive income, you're a farmer and you plant mustard seeds, the harvest grows. So system is really big to me, a systems-based business. And then I
For
think
sure.
that the other killer is I said it already, but it's the consistency and discipline.
Yeah.
Most people, most of us are having an employee mindset, which means we work on 2 week cycles. I can go hard for 2 weeks. And as entrepreneurs, we kind of start with maybe 2 days and then maybe 7 days. And then I think people are proud of themselves because they go hard for 2 weeks. That's not enough time to really build the momentum you need to build a sustainable business, right? You're talking 30, 60, 90 days. Like we run our business in annuals. Our interval is we have very clear numbers we need to hit annually, and we backwards map what that looks like from a monthly basis, weekly basis, so on and so forth.
Daily basis. Yeah, I love it. And speaking of building and scaling businesses, you recently got to sell your business, right? What like motivated you to sell your company?
You want the politically correct answer or the honest one?
The unscripted real answer.
The truth, the real truth, Raquel,
We
is we
only
had
speak the truth here. You just talked about language. Come on, Damian.
uh, well, let's just say this, a difference in vision when you have partners in company can make it very urgent to want to work in a space where everybody's running the same direction. So that was a big part of us moving into an acquisition that made more sense for the stakeholders that were going to be in that space. I kind of gave you a little some code there, but that's the
Mm-hmm.
truth. That's the truth. And then I think when you work your tail off, I think you want to reap the rewards of what you've done. And here's the piece. Once you learn how to do it, oh snap, I know how to do it. And so the insurance space is one where it's pretty simple to track the valuation of your agency or your IMO or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's easy, right? It's your
Yeah. Because you
permanent
got residuals.
coverage, your residuals, it's your renewal business, it's your licensed agents, it's the people writing policies, it's persistency rate, stuff that stays on the books. It's not a overly complicated
Yeah, there's
valuation
a
process.
formula. Very
Correct.
straightforward formula.
Very clear formula. And with that, when you hit certain benchmarks, it opens up different worlds of investors who are interested in your business, right? No one's going to buy your business below a million, pretty much, maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
100,000. Yeah, but
Yep.
when you start getting to a two, three, four, $5 million business, and there are other IMOs that are bigger that want to acquire you and take on your intellectual property, some of your systems that you've created, it can get pretty. The rewards can be handsome pretty quick, and so we're in a phase now where what we were looking for is resources.
Yeah.
We looked at our business model and said, okay, we can predict 1, 3 years, 5 years, up to 10 years. And there was some room for us to do crazy things. But with the resources that are out there with companies who can, all of a sudden they have a marketing department. All of a sudden they have, so you're no
Yeah.
longer paying out to do marketing, social media. There is actually a salaried person who's now your point person. I have a recruiter. For 5 years, I was the recruiter, right? Now I have an individual who's pulling resumes all day recruiting for me resources. And it was a natural for us. The company's awesome that is wanted to partner with us. And
Yeah.
it just timing was right. Timing is right.
Were there any surprises during your process or the sale or unexpected challenges that caught you off guard?
We almost went to litigation twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think
like
this is what
literally,
people don't know when they're selling
oh,
businesses and buying businesses. I'm a buyer today of businesses. I think, and it's a long process, but people are always like, I'm going to grow and scale this business so I could sell it. But is it sellable? And that's like a whole nother conversation.
you want to hear something crazy? You're going to laugh. Do you know who I reached out to as one of my attorneys in the process of acquiring or this acquisition?
No, I
Tina
don't.
Naker.
I love her.
Tina used to be a contract lawyer and attorney, and
Yep.
I reached out to her in the
I
past.
reach
And
out to her a few times.
that's crazy. Man, I said Tina, and Tina, well,
She's
she
smart.
probably wouldn't. Oh, but she saw the issues that we were confronted
Oh,
with and
yeah.
gave us really great feedback. In fact, she was like, she took it personal. Mackey, hell no, how can I help?
Yeah.
And so, but not, cooler heads prevail. We did not have to go the litigation route, and man, it was a beautiful thing.
Shout out to Tina,
I
my
know,
girl.
right?
I love it.
Another Union
Okay.
City girl, another girl we grew up with.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I know that when people sell, there is an identity that's wrapped up into their business. They've worked hard, they've sweated, there's sweat equity, right? How did you handle the emotional aspect of letting go of a business that you built?
Again, in full transparency, we we were part of a company where there was not a shared vision. And to be very honest with you, there was some personal attachment that was really difficult for us because it was ours and we had
Yeah.
built it and we had fumbled and done all the things over the growth over the course of our kind of cycle. But there was also the relief because we were doing business with a community of people who we just didn't see things eye to eye.
Mm.
And so I think that part made it a little less emotional, just in the sense that there was closure. Maybe not the most fair, maybe everybody didn't feel like they got what they needed to get, but I feel like everybody at the end, right? These guys who went their separate direction, to me, they look like they're doing well. They're killing it. I'm super excited for them. We got what we were seeking. By the way, access to new mentors, ridiculous niches in our marketplace, and the ability to scale the way we want. And so it was overwhelming, 100%, Raquel, but it also provided like a new beginning.
Yeah.
And that part feels really good. It feels really good.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, Damian, because I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, when you start to hire people, whether it's an assistant or you're the CEO and you actually take an advisor role, you're almost like not needed anymore. And it's probably no different than we deal with clients today that are in the professional athlete space or entertainment space. Like when that goes away because they get injured, they actually now have to go through therapy because their identity has been wrapped up in something that they built or have been a part of their life for so long. And I see that with entrepreneurs. It's like when they start to give up some of their roles, and they're no longer needed, they deal with the emotional stuff that people don't always talk about, especially when you're exiting a company or you're selling a company. Like the
Definitely,
money
yeah.
is good. And I
You're
think
right.
what you said to people, to the audience today is you got to focus on the forward when you've made that decision to sell already.
100%.
Yeah. So as you look back, is there anything that you wish you would have known sooner?
First things first, I'm gonna do it. So let me just, I got a story to tell. About a month ago, it's been about a month. A good friend of mine said, "Hey man, you need to create a platform on your social media and start creating content around." And this is primarily education. And I was kind of like, I don't know. And he was like, do it, do it, do it. And I think you know this, but I think it's been about 28 days. I've been posting. He's been recording me and editing me and posting all this content for me, and it's spiraled into it's actually turning into a whole new business. And so we're looking at what that might look like in the next 90 days to 6 months. But social media has turned into a space that is reshaping how I look at me and my brand and my company and so on and so forth. So park that. I doubled my followership over like 2.5 million views. I mean, it's craziness, Raquel. I don't even read the comments anymore because
for
you
sure.
say
When
what?
you have brand, I tell my audience this all the time. Brand is one of the most efficient business models in the game.
Yeah.
Because you can go on Oprah or you can go with the Kardashians today and all of a sudden everyone knows who you are, right? And so if you know how to build brand and leverage brand, whether it's through social media would probably be the fastest in today's market, you can do a lot of different things. And you can even create a lot of different partnerships.
It's been that. So that whole thing is bananas to me. I didn't even want it, but I actually appreciate it. Hey, by the way, it hurts your feelings. People call you the worst person alive and they talk crap about you. And I'm the guy who pulls data. So I'm the guy who's petty and I respond and I show them studies and research. And my wife's
I
babe,
have a
stop.
Damian in my pocket. Yeah.
Because well, my passion place was education for a decade.
Yeah.
And I was the principal disrupting the system. Yo, these practices are trash. These are hurting the students of color. These are hurting the immigrants. This is gatekeeping, accessibility. That was my stance in that world. But anyway, the social media space, I think, changes the game and gives people the opportunity to really, like you said, cultivate a brand and build an audience of people who trust you, right? Like your advocacy, some of them activists, and I just saw that in a month. It's been a month and I'm just looking at what social media has done. People are like, hey, we want you to do an ebook. The hell is an ebook? How do I do an ebook? So now there's conversations around what that might look like. And so entrepreneurship is all about I would say following the momentum. Like when you create momentum, and there's a word I like to use, it's called nimble. And I said called, like people don't know what nimble is, but I believe in being nimble, right? I thought my business was going to be writing insurance policies and I don't know, doing $1 million in premium and making 600,000 or something. I haven't written a policy in 3 years. Like I haven't written one policy in 3 years. Entrepreneurship will tell you where it wants you to go, and you got to be prepared for that. You have to be willing to do the work and you got to do the hard work. But if I was to consolidate what you asked, one statement, life insurance is a dirty secret that wealthy individuals know about and 90% of the middle class don't. If I knew what I knew about life insurance when I was in my 20s, I'd have $1 million cash today. And I was buying Jordans. I was buying tennis shoes and Vegas trips, Miami trips. I don't know what the hell I was doing. But yeah, it would definitely be, if I could recycle time, I would have started putting $250 into an account that was able to leverage the market that I could leverage against, arbitrage the difference in what I was owing versus what I was growing, if you will. And at that time, the cost of insurance would have been pennies compared to a 43-year-old man versus a 23-year-old man, right? So if I could do it again, I would have dumped 100K or something like that into one of those policies a couple of decades ago.
You spoke about, and I would agree with you on the whole life insurance. I wish I would have done that a lot sooner. All the things that it could do, right? I think we do hear the term life insurance or all these different policies, but actually educating yourself to what it actually could do and the different ones can be such a game changer for your future. So as you talk about all these things, and you could have gone a lot of different directions, like you said, with entrepreneurship, there's so many different things that can definitely be distracting because there's like lots of opportunities. And as you climb the ladder, I think more and more opportunities kind of come at you. And it's like, how do you say no? How do you say yes? So do you have a filtering system of what's next for Damian?
Yes. But I don't say, if you come to me and say, hey, I need help with something education in this education space, I get DMs every day now because of this dang content. And I mean, and Cincinnati. I think I'm going to Cincinnati, Florida, and like Louisiana in like the next 90 days because they want to further the conversation. And I'm paying for two of the trips, which whatever, I'm not tripping. It's just a passion for me. And in the entrepreneur space, though, I am much more clear on where my time, because that's the one thing we have a finite amount of is time. And I have four children, I have a wife, I have a life, I have personal goals, I have my fitness. I gained 30 pounds for over 3 years, and then I lost 20 of it. I got about 10 to 15 more I'd like to lose. And so, yeah, I think it's important as entrepreneurs, and I think you said it right. There's a season in your business where I feel like you're going to be overworked and underpaid. And by the way, in that season of your business, you've got to be willing to do things that make you uncomfortable. You got to be willing to go over and beyond. It's you just never know which meeting, which conversation, which lunch date, which whatever is the one,
Right.
you know. But then as you grow and you kind of have a system in place, I don't even want to say kind of, see, that's bad language, by the way. You have a system in place and you've got structures and leadership and some duplication. Yes, it is very critical to make sure your time is spent doing high leverage events. High leverage. You have to be creating the next step in the process. You have to be critiquing the areas of threats or opportunities in the system, right? And so I have here's I guess the easy answer is I have developed brokers who can do about 80% of the business side of what I do. I don't care if it's $1 million client. I'll let one of my brokers handle that because that's time and a bunch of vetting and things of that nature. And I have the luxury today to do so. But 3 years ago, that might have been a $40,000 commission that I needed to be the one writing, right? Because that was my space and where I was then. So again, when you build a system and you can create some duplication within it, I am very like clear on what I don't do any administrative work. If I recruit an agent or an agency, I'll tell them, do not ask me how to submit a policy. It's data entry. It's data entry. Hello, there's 100 people here that can show you that. And I have staff that can do that with or for you too, right? So admin work, those type of things, they're just not high leverage activities for me where I am in my business today. I've been a licensing coordinator, got people through pre-licensing. Oh my God, I couldn't imagine doing it now. I've been a field trainer. I've taken people in the field to write $50 policies. I could not imagine doing that. Like I've done those things. There's a time and a space in your business to where you're going to be different hats and wear different leadership roles. And as entrepreneurs, you want to make sure you walk through all of them. And you want to be able to tell the story of you doing all of them. Don't be the guy who's I only do these. Well, bro, you never did 100K in premium before? Right? Your new guys may not respect you the same.
Yeah, there's definitely experience. There's a lot of people that speak theory, right? A lot of people that could educate out there, but you cannot replace. And even Chat GPT today could probably give you some advice, but you cannot replace experience at the end of the day. And so what's next for Damian? You've got a lot of like nice opportunities, things that you're like probably excited about. What's something that you're excited about that you're working on?
I am excited.
Since you don't do admin work, by the way.
An admin for 7 years. Thank you very much. Actually, I had a secretary. Amazing. My secretary. Principal is what spoiled me. I was a principal and I got a secretary. I got a data analyst. So I didn't have to do that thing. I didn't have to do that. So when I got into insurance, I was like, as soon as I can get out of doing that stuff, I got to hire somebody. No, but man, I'm excited about what's to come. I really feel I want to see what it feels like to run an agency with the backing of a 9-figure company. We are in connection with, or in partnership with, excuse me, a 9-figure company. I'll come into the office and I say, hey, we need to create a Facebook ad. And we've got a professional photographer, a green screen, the lights, the whole in 12 hours or 4 hours. It's dang, you know what I mean? And I didn't have to pay any money. They have it in the budget. So I am just excited about what the next level looks like, the impact that we can have. I'm not so much money driven anymore, Raquel, to be very honest with you. I care more about helping other people reach financial goals because I know what it feels like to be financially free of debt and all that anxiety. But here's my master plan is I want to be responsible for building a $100 million agency. I've never even built a $10 million agency yet. All right. So crossing the threshold to 10 and then a 9-figure agency. And my goal is in the next 3 years to start a school. I want to start an
Love
alternative, a non-traditional, I don't want to say alternative, a non-traditional approach to education that is based around project-based learning and inquiry-based learning, not pigeonholed by standardized tests, and will allow the next generation of learners to go into the space. So STEM, technology, agriculture, gaming, entrepreneurship to the school. The acronym is called STAGE. My cousin has his doctoral. He's an ex-NFL. He's an ex-NFL ball player, Super Bowl champion, but he got his doctoral work in urban education. I did my master's in urban education. We're both here in Texas. And so we have been cultivating the idea of building a school and how to duplicate that. Take the skills I've learned in what I do. And if we build a successful campus, how to duplicate that kind of ideal
Yeah.
destination. So again,
I
I gotta
love
play
it.
bigger, baby.
Like,
I gotta play bigger, right? I gotta keep
yeah.
playing bigger.
Where can people connect with you?
So Instagram, Dame That Dude, DameThatDude is my Instagram. That's probably where you'll see me the most. My Facebook is more family oriented, all of our old school friends and that kind of deal. But I do a little bit of my business stuff there. LinkedIn is more so a niche around my football market. So I have a football podcast. It's called the Damian Mackey Show. It's centered around OU football and athletics. It's a successful platform, but D_Mac13 is at D_Mac13 is my Twitter handle. I don't call it X. To me, it's still Twitter.
Yeah, it's still Twitter. Well, we
But I
will
would
put
say,
all of those in the show notes for sure.
I would just say, I don't know. Reach out on Instagram. I'm probably on there the most, getting cussed out by people who don't understand context, but no. Yeah.
I love it. And as we wrap up, there's always one question that I ask every single guest that comes on the show is, what does Damian do to play bigger in business or in life?
Man, read as many books as you can. Be careful of your circle of influence. The 5 people you hang around the most are going to really shape your identity, and never, ever, ever stop dreaming. Never.
Love it. And with that, because you read books, what's like a book that you would recommend today?
So I'm reading a book right now. I'll tell you the book I'm reading right now. It's called Leading Change, because we are in the middle of a transition. I think it's Cotter's the author. It's called Leading Change. It's an organizational structural kind of mindset around what that might look like and who the stakeholders are. But that's not my fave. Listen, the book that changed my perspective on entrepreneurship is Fast Lane to a Millionaire.
Is what?
If you Fast Lane to a Millionaire,
I have it. I'm going to pull it up after this.
I've read that book. I read that book probably 10 times in 2022.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I give you the author. The author is, I can't believe I can't remember his name because I'm on his message board now. But the author's name is
MJ.
MJ DeMarco, man. He's gonna give it to you real. He's gonna give it to you raw. I bought all of his books.
I'm like, I had to go get it. I'm like, I know that book.
Listen, that I haven't listened to it in probably 6 to 8 months. Gosh dang it, where is it? But that book gave me clarity on, no, bro, it's on you. Do the research, have the mindset, stop making excuses, find solutions, and go make some freaking money, right? Like he's a beast. He's definitely a beast.
Well, Damian, I want to say thank you so much for being on our show today. I super appreciate you. I love all the work. I love the school thought as well. And I'm excited to keep supporting you in playing bigger, my friend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, sis.